And he has written a humorous, affectionate look at Ottawa in the 1950s and 60s that will transport baby boomers back to those memorable days of childhood and adolescence. We're joined right now by Bruce MacGregor in the book. There you go, Capital Recollections, baby boomer growing up in Ottawa. Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
It's good to have you here. Now, why did you decide to write this book? What was the inspiration initially?
It was a chance encounter with my brother-in-law, who I don't see very often. He's incapable of small talk, and after me going on about years wanting to write a book, he said, people our age tend to disappear out of our own lives, and I wasn't sure what he was referring to, but as soon as he made it clear that he just meant that we keep doing the same thing over and over again and not doing anything new, that kick-started me on finally getting pen to paper.
That's interesting. Okay, so what was the publishing process when it came to this book? I mean, how long did it take, the whole process here?
I was very lucky. I got a name of a publisher, Tim Gordon of Burnstown Publishing. I went to see him with a rough draft, and amazingly, he took me on. So it took me about a year and a half to write the book.
Okay. There's lots of very cool stories in here, obviously. As I mentioned, takes you back to the 50s, 60s, gets a lot of people thinking. What are some of the stories that stand out in your mind?
Well, I like the story about my crazy friend that was absolutely obsessed with the supernatural.
He slept with a crucifix?
He did indeed. He told me every horror movie that came to Ottawa, because I wasn't allowed to see most of them. And you know, other things that are mentioned in the book, but that's fun. And you know, my early basketball coach, my very first basketball coach in high school, was the great Russ Jackson, quarterback of the Ottawa Rough Riders, which is mentioned in the story as well.
There's a great photo of you in there as well with Russ. What about the Bobby Orr story, where you didn't meet him because you didn't want to meet him?
Well, we had a friend named Rod Zane who had gone on to play with the Oshawa Generals, and when he came to Ottawa, the Monoguards were playing an exhibition game against the Generals, and a bunch of us 17-year-olds went down to watch the game, and afterwards we went to say hi to Rod, and Bobby Orr was coming out of the dressing room right after him, and Rod asked if we wanted to meet Bobby, and we said, "Are you kidding? He's only 15. So Bobby Orr, who was soon to become a hockey legend, walked by, and we missed an opportunity to shake hands with one of the greats of NHL history.
You were too cool for Bobby Orr at that point.
I'm sorry, he was 2 years younger than we were, so not interested.
I totally get it. So then how is the book structured then? How is it broken down?
I wanted to avoid a chronological approach where, you know, when I was 13, you know, and so it's thematic. And so it has a lot of headings like sports, school, music, television, etc.
Okay. Have you seen a lot change over the years? Like when you're obviously really thinking about the 50s and 60s compared to what's happening now in the year 2020, do you see?
Tremendous change. I mean, you could go on and on about that, but just in my youth, Barrhaven, Canada, and Orleans were farmland, and maybe the odd little pocket of you know, habitation. Yeah, big changes.
Yeah. Have you received a lot of great feedback from people, perhaps your age, or people that are looking to learn about the 50s and 60s?
I have received some very positive feedback. What I'm most pleased about is that a number of women have said they really like the book, and I thought it might be a bit too male-centric, but turns out that there's something in there for women as well.
Well, maybe you could thank your wife because of that, right? Because didn't she have a big part in making sure that everything that got onto paper here was...
My wife was very, very patient. She listened to every chapter and gave me feedback, but I think there are enough things like dating and driving around in cars and going to movies in there that women can relate to it as well.
Of course. Yeah, it's nice to look back and reflect. Okay, so if people are looking to pick up a copy, a physical copy here, where in the Ottawa area could they find it?
There are 3 bookstores that sell this book. In the West End, there's World of Maps at the corner of Parkdale and Wellington. And on Elgin Street, Perfect Books, and in the East End, Books on Beechwood. All
right, there you go. I loved your radio and TV section in here as well. Lots of fun. Bruce MacGregor, thank you very much. Capital Recollections. Appreciate your time. Good work. Thank you for being here.